A very good afternoon. You're watching Lunchtime News here on News First, where the people come first. Let's start off with a look at your headlines.
Protest in Galface enters the 7th consecutive day. Former Test cricket player commences a fast at the protest site in Galface. Decision to not issue fuel to cans create issues. Sri Lankan Airlines issues clarifications on the decision to lease 21 aircraft as a long-term business strategy. Christians and Catholics celebrate Good Friday. American representative visits Ukraine.
And now those stories in detail. The people's protest at Galface Green in Colombo is ongoing. The protest entered its 7th day today. News First's Ahmed Buzo joins us with the latest.
Thank you, Mariam. I'm currently opposite the President's office in Galface Green, where the protest staged by the general public is continuing for the 7th consecutive day. Now, these protesters have been here since last Saturday, demanding and requesting for solutions for the present economic crisis and the mismanagement of the government. Now, I can observe that protesters are joining in this protest from both directions. As the number of protesters increase, we can see that there is a slight traffic congestion in this area. For the News First team, I'm Ahmed Buso, reporting to you from opposite the President's office, together with our cameraman, Janika Gomez.
නම් කැමැත්ත ප්‍රේමේ රාජ්‍යයෙන්ම අපේ ජීවිත ක්‍රමය තුලත් අද ඉටු වේවා. අපගේ දිනපතා ජීවත් වීමට අවශ්‍ය
මාමකත්වයෙන් යුතුව අද එක වගේ පිළිගැලී නම හිතන්නේ අපි අද නෙවෙයි මේක කරන්න තිබුණේ මීට දශක
People from across the country joined the protest staged outside the President's office in Colombo today as well. I will support this cause until its goals are achieved. I brought water since I heard the youth here do not have enough water. There is no point if we don't do something now. Meanwhile, former Test cricket player commenced a fast at the protest site in Galface this morning. He demanded justice for the victims of the 2019 April 21st attacks. A large group of people were present yesterday, despite it being the Sinhala and Tamil New Year. People were seen protesting during the night as well. site this morning. People also held protests against the current regime in many areas across the country today as well. Meanwhile, a group of people left the Negombo railway station to take part in the protest staged opposite the president's office. A group of youth from Valasmulla engaged in a protest at the Kirimana junction this morning. An individual engaged in a protest opposite the clock tower in Horana, demanding the president to resign. The individual continued the protest by carrying the photos of his two daughters. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan expatriates held protests across the world in solidarity with Sri Lankans at home. They demanded the resignation of the president and his government. A silent protest was staged opposite the Arizona State University, demanding the government, including the president, to resign.
We know that there is a huge economic crisis going on and everybody are oppressed at home. So we want to show that we are always with you, and actually you are fighting for all of us, and we have to appreciate, and we are really grateful.
We all demand the current leaders to step down, give the country to educated, honest people, and overhaul the entire society.
Moving on, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, or the CPC, says fuel will not be distributed in cans if special permission is not sought. Chairman of the CPC, Sumit Vijay Singh, says the decision was made to avoid hoarding stocks. However, people held a protest in Pinadua, Galle, opposing this decision.
A heated situation was reported when workers at the filling station did not agree to provide fuel in cans. Long queues were seen at filling stations in Mathura town. People expressed displeasure towards the decision made to stop distributing fuel in cans.
Decision එකක් මේක මේ මිනිස්සු වැළපෙනවා මැරෙනවා මෙතන හරිද මේක very sad scene, right? People are suffering a lot in Sri Lanka and people have no way to go.
Many filling stations in Kandy were closed today as well. Only petrol was available at filling stations that were open. Many filling stations in Mavanalla were closed today. Long queues were seen at filling stations in Polonnaruwa as well. However, many filling stations had run out of fuel stocks.
Petrol පොඩ්ඩක් තියෙනවා මේකෙන් දැන් ස්ටාර්ට් කරගෙන ගියොත් ගෙදර යන්න මදි වෙනවා මොකද ළඟට ගියාම මේ තෙල් නැහැ කිව්වොත් ගෙදර යන්නත් විදිහක් නැහැනේ.
එක පෙට්‍රල් ලීටරයක් ගහගන්න බැන්න පොලිමේ ඉඳලා ඉඳලා. එක්ක ඩීසල් ඉවරයි කියනවා. පෙන්ට පෙට්‍රල් ඉවරයි කියනවා. කවද්ද මේ ඉවර වෙන්නේ? කවද්ද මේ මිනිස්සු වැඩක් කරන්නේ? උදේ පාන්දර 5 නම් මේ පොලිං ඉල්ලලා
Now, despite people queuing for fuel in many parts of the country, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation points out that sufficient stocks of fuel are in the country. Chairman of the CPC says that the prevailing shortage of fuel is a result of unnecessary hoarding of fuel and that a tanker carrying 37,500 metric tons of petrol will arrive in the country today. The CPC says that the amount will suffice for 25 days. The CPC also said that 41,000 metric tons of diesel that arrived yesterday is currently being unloaded.
Farmers in the country who were battered due to the fertilizer crisis are now facing the brunt of the fuel crisis as well. Farmers in Mayurapura Hambantota have now begun cultivation. However, preparing the lands using the tractors have become a difficult task as a result of the shortage in diesel. During the last season, farmers failed to reap the expected harvest due to the fertilizer shortage. They note harvest during this season might not be at an expected level due to the fuel shortage.
Sri Lankan Airlines says that it has issued 4 requests for proposals to lease up to 21 aircraft to support its long-term business strategy. Accordingly, this includes 2 RFPs covering existing fleet types, that is 320 and 330 family aircraft, and 2 parallel RFPs to compare with alternative aircraft types. Now, roughly 60% of the planned aircraft will be for fleet replacement, and the remainder will be to support the airline's expansion strategy and meet the growing demand for air travel between Sri Lanka and the world. According to the statement, prior to the pandemic in 2019, Sri Lankan had an all-Airbus fleet of 27 wide and narrow-bodied aircraft to service its short and long-haul operations. During COVID-19, there were no replacements for 3 aircraft that left the fleet. The airline currently has 24 aircraft to operate to 40 destinations in 25 countries. Sri Lankan is planning for measured growth in the next 3 years through frequency increases and the addition of new destinations, as international travel is in trajectory of recovery from the pandemic. The business plan of the airline necessitates a 35 aircraft strong fleet by 2025. Additionally, it is critical to lease replacement aircraft when existing aircraft leases expire to sustain operations. Considering these factors, Sri Lankan plans to lease up to 21 aircraft from the forthcoming RFP process. Now, Sri Lankan Airlines issued a clarification with respect to speculation circulating on social media regarding Sri Lankan Airline aircraft uplifting printed material to Entebbe International Airport in Uganda last year.
Sri Lankan Airlines said it received an air cargo order to transport about 102 tons of printed material from Colombo to Entebbe International Airport in Uganda in February 2021. However, in response to concerns raised following the statement, the national carrier tweeted to say that the Ugandan government ordered Ugandan currency notes from a global security printer who operates several factories worldwide, including one in Sri Lanka, exporting to global markets. It went on to note that Sri Lankan aircraft which were underutilized at this time during the pandemic were chartered by a UK-based freight forwarder.
Followers of Jesus Christ believe it was on a day like today that Jesus Christ died for the sins of all mankind. Known as Good Friday, Christians across the world participate in church services to mark this most significant day.
The season of Lent begins on Ash Wednesday and lasts for a period of 40 days. Catholic devotees typically fast and practice abstinence during this holy season. Last Sunday, in memory of the arrival of the Lord Jesus Christ to Jerusalem, Catholics celebrated Palm Sunday, which also marks the beginning of the Holy Week. The Lord Jesus broke bread and gave it to his disciples along with wine and established the sacrament of Holy Communion. The betrayal of Jesus Christ by Judas, one of his 12 disciples, following which he was subjected to an inaccurate judgment and then crucified, is also commemorated today. Yesterday, Maundy Thursday was celebrated to commemorate Jesus Christ's Last Supper with his 12 disciples. Churches across the country hold services to commemorate this significant day. The service was held this morning at the All Saints Church in Borella to mark Good Friday.
And with that, it's a wrap of this edition of Lunchtime News here on News First, where the people come first. For the News First team, I'm Mariam Gunavijaya. Thank you for watching. A very good day to you and take care.